Well, right now, I've been, it's funny you were talking about, being you said something about being a band leader. When did you start being a band leader?
Yeah, when did you?
See, during that time, I wasn't, like you were saying, did you ever tour with those groups or something? I hadn't done any live gigs with any of those ensembles that I put together for these record days. Mm-hmm. They were just, I got people that I wanted to play with.
Mm-hmm. That you had played with?
That I had played with in various other situations, not necessarily that band, but, this bass player, this saxophone player, this piano player, blah, 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 like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, but I didn't lead any groups. Mm-hmm. It's only been in the last maybe 10 years that I've started to lead my own bands. But I haven't recorded. Mm-hmm. See, I recorded and didn't lead any bands in live gigs. Now I'm leading bands and I haven't recorded. I want to record. I want to put a record out. I really want to, but I just haven't found the right opportunity. If somebody would say, "Hey, man, I'd love to record you," I'd be, yeah, let's go, because I've got material, I've got people in mind, and so I'm still, and I'm doing it, probably about 5 or 6 times a year. I'm, put my own bands together and playing, mm-hmm. and I have 3 or 4. The thing is like having a band now. Economically, it's just so difficult because, I'm talking about having a band, just like this is my band. Mm-hmm. It's always these people. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. That's hard now because if it's just not lucrative enough for people to commit.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
To somebody to just always be available for me.
Right.
Right.
Because
the guys that I like, or the people that I like, are very, very good. And other people know that they're very, very good. Yeah. So they're stretched out, by 10 other people that want them,
yeah.
And between those 10 or 15 other people that want them, they're busy,
yeah.
And so I have 3 or 4 piano players, 2 or 3 bass players, mm-hmm. 2 or 3, 4 or 5 horn players, that kind of have done it enough times so that I don't have to really go through a whole rigmarole of, okay, we got to get together and,
right.
Because that's another thing. Time is so precious here in New York. People don't have time. Okay, you got to get 3 other people together or 4 other people together to do a rehearsal, and their schedules are scattered. Mm. Are they even in town all at the same time in the next 6 weeks before the gig?
Right.
You know what I mean? And with my schedule too.
Yeah.
On top of that,
yeah.
So then you got to do that, and then the reward for them to do the gig monetarily is going to be whatever that is. Mm-hmm. So they're kind of doing it to do the gig, and maybe they want to play with me, or whether they want to play with the band. Mm-hmm. But if something else comes along that's a little bit more lucrative, then they're going to say, "Hey man, I'm sorry, but I got a tour, and I got to make this. I got to do this. And what can you say?
Yeah.
Because I'm in that position too.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, It's not like I'm sitting here, not doing anything else but my own band. I'm more of a side man than I am a band leader,
Yeah.
And I have to be, I have to have my I have to be involved in a lot of different things. So basically, for me, I play with a different band every week, mm-hmm. Of completely different musicians, and that's what they do too. And so it would be lovely to have a band. It would be lovely for there to be more bands like there were, like when we think about the golden years of, Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, or Horace Silver's band, or Miles's band, or Cannonball Adderley's band, or Oscar Peterson Trio, Bill Evans Trio. Those were bands, man, because they had, 32 weeks of work. Mm-hmm. Traveling around the country and the world, playing in places because there were places to play that supported the music, right?
Right.
That's not happening anymore.
Right. Right.
Everything is spread out. The costs of just getting from A to B are expensive. The cost of housing people, are they going to draw enough people to make it worth the presenters' while? All that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some people that are fortunate enough to be able to do it on a pretty much regular basis, but all the musicians in New York, man, that if there were really bands, then 25 drummers would have a gig in a band somewhere, and they would be making music, maybe contributing to the history, maybe starting a body of work, like a lineage of work. And we think of some of these guys, some of these iconic people that we think about, they were in band, like Louis Hayes, for example. He was in Horace Silver's band for quite a few years. Then he was in Cannonball Adderley's band. And while he was in these bands, he made 7, 8, 9, 10 records with that band. So he was building up name recognition and cachet. Right. You know what I mean? So he's this band, then the next thing you know, 30 years have gone by, and this guy has done all this stuff, and now he's a name that we know from his past history. What he's done.
Right.
Because he's apprenticed with these bands, and he's developed his sound. We know his sound because of this. Plus all the other records that maybe he's done just as a sideman.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen so much anymore. There's a few people that still get a chance. I can think of a few drummers and stuff that are known for playing with this person's band for the last 25 years. And that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But it doesn't happen too often anymore.
Right.
It never really even happened for me, actually. Come to think of it. I mean, I played with a lot of people, but never in a from a longevity point of view. Maybe one person I played with over the years for a long period of time, and I managed to make, 10 records or something.
Who's the person?
A guy named Steve Kuhn, a wonderful pianist, who's still very much with us. And so I've done like maybe 11 or 12 records with him, and we've traveled all over the world. But then again, he's not like, I mean, you'd have to seek him out. He's not somebody that, everybody knows, and young people don't know him too sadly, because he's one of the great piano players in history and of our time, and with a, you can't confuse him with Herbie Hancock or Keith Jarrett or Cedar Walton. He has his own sound, as do they.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nobody sounds like Cedar Walton, right?
Right. Yeah.
Nobody sounds like him.
Yeah.
Nobody sounds like Keith Jarrett. There's a lot of people that come out of that and come out of but well, Steve is one of those kind of guys. He's got his own thing. But he's not well known. I mean, he's done a lot of records for ECM. He's done a lot of records for a Japanese company called Venus. He's done a lot of other records for different smaller labels, but he's not a household name. But I could say that I've had probably the longest association with him in terms of traveling and making records. But they're not super well known, I think some of the ones that I've made with Steve, I'm pretty. I mean, I wouldn't say happy with, but they're a pretty good representation of what it is. You know what I mean? And I could probably say that about some other recordings too. I mean, not really. I mean. There's a lot of different things, that are interesting, that I think are interesting, and that I'm glad that I had the experience to record with them, like I did a record with Andrew Hill. I'm just glad that I had the experience to record with somebody like that. You know what I mean? I did some records with Carla Bley. I was just glad that I had the experience to do something like that. Bobby Hutcherson. I mean, for me, those are things that I very, very, very grateful for having had the opportunity to participate in the making of music with these people who are such great music makers. You know, he did it with those people that I'm thinking of, man. He did that with Max. He did that with Philly Joe Jones. He did that with Elvin. He did that with Jack DeJohnette. He did that with Higgins. He did that with Al Foster. He did that with, you know what I mean? He did that with all these people, Tony Williams, whatever, you know. And so, but he likes to do that because he's kind of a drummer on the saxophone. He's like, his rhythm is he's, you know what I mean? He's like, he gobbles that stuff up and spits it back out at you another way, and then you've got to come up with something to complement that in your way.
Yeah.
And so he's throwing stuff at you that's ultimately unbelievably inspiring. And so with that, it kind of makes you come out of yourself and come up with something, hopefully, that maybe you don't even know what you're going to do, you know.
Right.
And so that's the thing about that deep well of improvisational ability that he has, because he's spontaneous, man. He's unrehearsed, you know. None of that stuff is scripted. It's all, you know, it's all just boom, you know. Yeah, it's just popping out there, and it's, you know, it's a thrilling ride, you know. You know, it's like you know, it's like he's like a thrill seeker. It's fun to talking about this stuff, man. You know, like I said, man, I'm blessed, fortunate, grateful to be able to do the thing that I love to do the most of anything in the world: play the drums, play music, and then get a chance to play with people that, you know, you only dream of them, you know, like these people that, you know, before I moved to New York or whatever, you know, you grow up, you know, you're listening, you're holding this record of this person, and you don't even think that maybe one day I'll be playing with that person, you know, because you're looking at these records and you're seeing these people, wow, you know, you know what I mean? And then when it happens, you're just like, what? You know? What am I doing here, man? Thank you so much, man. It's my pleasure to talk with you.
Hope we can do it again someday in the future.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right.
You know where I live.
All right. Thanks, Billy.
Okay, man. My pleasure.
All right.